On June 8, 1998, the giant of Africa stopped breathing. General Sani Abacha, the iron-fisted ruler who held a nation of over 100 million people in absolute submission, was dead.
National and state assemblies are also dissolved. The state executive councils are dissolved. The brigade commanders are to take over from the governors in their states until administrators are appointed.
The man who famously hid his eyes behind dark shades had finally closed them forever. He was 54 years old. He had ruled Nigeria for exactly 54 months. By a strange twist of fate, he was born on a Monday, he died on a Monday, and before the sun could set over Kano, he would be buried on a Monday. But what truly happened in the heavily guarded, paranoid corridors of the presidential villa during his final hours? For decades, a single sensational rumor dominated the bustling streets of Lagos and echoed through the diplomatic cables of Western nations. The story was simple, scandalous, and for many who suffered under his iron fist, deeply satisfying. It was whispered that the feared general had been poisoned, fed a spiked apple by foreign sex workers in the dead of night. It was an undignified, humiliating end, a fitting demise for a dictator. The international media, from the New York Times to the Irish Times, ran with the narrative, citing anonymous intelligence reports and government leaks. But the truth, at least the truth according to the men standing inside the room, paints a far darker, far more chilling picture.
Abacha was kept alive. He was to be removed in the first 3 months. And I would tell people, Abacha has had 8 coup attempts. It's on the 8th he died. How do we manage that? People don't understand.
8.
I never asked Abacha to give me 1 naira all my life. 1 naira.
It is a story of international espionage, political paranoia, and absolute internal panic. According to his fiercely loyal chief security officer, Major Hamza al-Mustafa, the dominoes that toppled the Abacha regime did not fall in a heavily guarded bedroom. The countdown to his death began out in the open, under the blinding sun of an airport tarmac. The date was June 7, 1998. The location, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. General Abacha was receiving the Palestinian leader, Yasser Arafat. Amidst the formalities and the heavy security presence, Abacha extended his hand to greet one of the foreign security operatives. It was just a handshake, a brief, fleeting moment of diplomatic courtesy. But almost immediately, something shifted. His closest aides, men trained to observe the slightest change in their commander, noticed a drastic, alarming drop in his demeanor. The physical deterioration was sudden. By the evening, Abacha was visibly struggling. Around 6 p.m., his personal physician, Dr. Sadiq Wali, was summoned to administer a stabilizing injection. For a brief, deceptive moment, the shadow seemed to pass. By 9 p.m., the head of state appeared to bounce back. He didn't even change out of his work clothes. He spent the night energetically receiving visitors, projecting the image of an untouchable leader. His final guest was General Jeremiah Wuseni, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and one of Abacha's closest confidants. The two men sat and talked deep into the early hours of the morning. At 3:35 a.m., Wuseni finally left the presidential guest house. He would be the last outsider to ever see General Sani Abacha alive.
Those who were investing so much with the decisions Abacha was taking, he was stepping on their toes. All those around Abacha were regarded as enemies. I was the first to take him off. You need to take me off. So Abacha's enemies became my enemies. That's all. And propaganda was every single Friday. They pay money. There was a writing team. Media were carrying. Many of them don't know what they were writing.
At exactly 5 a.m., the suffocating silence of the presidential villa was shattered. Security guards sprinted to the quarters of Major Al-Mustafa. Their message was frantic. The head of state was highly unstable. Al-Mustafa's immediate instinct was survival. He assumed the worst. He thought it was a military coup. Fully arming himself and using his own wife as a decoy to divert the guards from his escape route, the chief security officer rushed to the guest house. When he burst into the bedroom, the enemy was not a rebel soldier. The enemy was already inside the commander's body. General Abacha was gasping for air. His body temperature was plummeting. He was foaming at the mouth. What happened next is a chilling testament to the absolute fear the regime commanded. Even as the man lay dying, the protocol of power paralyzed his men. No one was allowed to touch the head of state without permission. Al-Mustafa fell to his knees beside the bed. In a desperate, trembling voice he shouted, "General Sani Abacha, please grant me permission to touch and carry you." He knocked frantically on the bedside stool, begging for a response. There was only silence. Dr. Wali was smuggled into the villa through a secret passage within 8 agonizing minutes. Desperate to pull the dictator back from the brink, the physician administered 2 severe injections, one directly into the heart and another near the neck. But it was over. The general's body had turned cold. The giant of Africa had fallen. The dictator was dead, but the seat of power was still warm. And in the shadows of Aso Rock, a terrifying new game was just beginning. Recognizing the highly suspicious rapid nature of the death, Dr. Wali discreetly collected blood, urine, and air samples. He knew the truth would be hunted, and he knew it could easily be buried. And buried it was. Adhering strictly to Islamic custom, the family declined an autopsy. The absolute cause of death would be sealed away forever. Outside the bedroom, Al-Mustafa began a delicate, dangerous operation. Using his special communication gadgets, he diplomatically invited the military service chiefs and governors to a 9 a.m. meeting, keeping the general's death a closely guarded secret. When the Provisional Ruling Council finally gathered and the devastating news was broken, the room descended into a volatile power struggle. Lieutenant General Ishaya Bamayi immediately began maneuvering to be named the new head of state. The tension in the villa reached a boiling point. Furious junior officers, loyal to Abacha, overheard the political scrambling and made a horrifying suggestion. They proposed wiping out the entire ruling council right there in the villa, planning to tell the public that the leaders killed each other in a bloody shootout. A catastrophic bloodbath was only narrowly averted. Frantic calls were made to military elders, including General Ibrahim Babangida, who commanded the junior officers to stand down and urged a peaceful transition of power. On that very same Monday, before the sun could set, General Sani Abacha was laid to rest in his hometown of Kano. He was 54 years old. He had ruled Nigeria for exactly 54 months. His sudden departure left a deeply scarred nation at a profound crossroads. By the early hours of June 9th, Major General Abdulsalami Abubakar was quietly sworn in as the new head of state, marking the official end of the Abacha era and setting the stage for Nigeria's long-awaited return to democracy. Was in the accumulated stress of an embattled paranoid ruler, a meticulously planned assassination delivered through the poisoned handshake of a foreign operative? Or was it the collective, desperate prayer of a fractured nation answered in the darkest hour of the night? The official records will always say it was a sudden heart attack. But in the heavily guarded corridors of power, official truths are often just the lies we agree to tell. The true financing of General Sani Abacha remain locked behind the closed doors of history, a permanent mystery buried of Kanano.